I am joined by. I like how I can just do this. I can just say. I am joined by Choom, and do you want to go by Alice in the Southlands or Perla?
Alice in the Southlands. Or
Okay.
you know what, Perla, for the sake of brevity, Perla.
For the sake of brevity, Perla. All right, so we'll do longer introductions, but this is a panel on street snaps, and I'm glad that this is in the late night content because I don't think we're going to get particularly sweary, but we are just going to talk about street snaps. There's no real structure about, we don't have presentation notes. We're just talking about street snaps. And the one structure, the one rule is please hold your questions until the end. And let's just go ahead and get started. Let's see if I can figure out how to get started. There we go. All right, the slide that I spent way more time on than any other slide. So who are we? Choom, would you like to start?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Choom, my pronouns she, her. I started wearing J fashion at 13, I think. I don't know. Somewhere around that time, like, I discovered idols or something. And then I was like, I want to look like an anime girl. So that's kind of how it started. I think everyone can relate.
Yeah.
And then I worked in 6% Doki Doki on my year abroad. I did Japanese at uni, and then I went to Tokyo for a year, and then I worked at 6% for that year. And then when I moved back to Tokyo, I worked there again. And I worked at the Kawaii Monster Cafe as Monster French Choom, which is super fun. No one wants to hear my Monster Girl voice. It's super embarrassing.
It's so funny because I was in Japan when the Monster Cafe was on, and it 6 degrees of separation. I look at him and been like, that's Choom! But
yeah.
never went. We never got a chance.
Yeah, it was me, but I'm not glittery fashion monster now. And so right now I'm like I can't speak. I'm a master's student at Bunka Gakuen University in Tokyo studying fashion. And my thesis is on Japanese street fashion and in particular fruit street snaps. So I hope I can give some insight through this panel into what I'm doing. And I also run my own online magazine, the COMM, which we'll talk about later. And I sell thrifted J fashion on off-brand on Instagram. That's me.
Yeah, all these ats are Insta ats, by the way. That's why I have the little icon. All right, Prilla.
Well, much like Choom, at some point in my life, when I was around 16, 17 probably, I discovered J fashion, older than Choom, but it was through, what's her name? No Doubt.
Gwen Stefani?
Gwen Stefani is the one that
Wow.
put Ura-Harajuku in my mind. And after that, because I knew kind of blanket.
I was reading Sailor Moon. Where were you?
I have to admit, before the age of I was not a weeb whatsoever. You see anime, I saw, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, whatever makes it to 4 kids.
Yeah.
But it was really, to be absolutely honest, Lolita fashion and Perfume, the band Perfume.
Oh yeah.
Again, that made me who I am today.
I like Perfume. Who's your favorite Perfume girl?
Kashiuka.
Oh, okay. I'm Achan, mainly because I want her hair.
Oh my God, but Kashiuka has the best.
No, but I like the fluffy. I'm all about the fluffy hair.
Yeah, she does have those little fluffy
shoulder
length. She's fluffy shoulder length. Kashiuka's bangs and straight, and then Nuchi is the short bob. But anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't I saw anime, but it was whatever. It was actually Gwen Stefani who, when she went through her lamb phase, I went through it with her. It's also cringy now. It's also cringy now, but back then I was all about it. Now I look back on it, I'm like, wow, that was really bad. And then, oh shit, Lucky, that's my dog, sorry. Lucky. And so after that, I forgot what it was. You know, I actually think I was looking at books, and Lolita came up, obviously Napakal's Lolita. And I searched the name, I think for the book or the movie. No, for the movie. And the first slide, actually, that's of my segment, is the picture that came up, and I was like,
oh yeah, the Wikipedia picture. Yeah.
Yes. The Wikipedia Gothic Lolita picture. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I was so like jeans and a graphic T-shirt, like jeans and like a shirt you won from a radio contest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it said Hot Jams 97.7 or something on it. Like that was my wardrobe. I cared not for fashion because early 2000s pop fashion was disgusting. It was terrible. I look fonder on baby fat now. But back in the day, I was like, ugh. And for some reason, Lolita was something that sparked in me. And I was like, oh my God. But I was, you know, a poor teenager. So all I could afford were the magazines. So I started collecting Kara's and GLBs. And when GLB went down, and Kara too, it became online, I decided to start up an Instagram so that all the new kids can see what I saw. You know what I mean? Like get the inspiration from the source. And not just, you know, secondhand info from like Instagram and everybody else. It's like straight from the source. GLB Cares was my thing.
So I am the moderator. I won't spend a long time introducing myself because no one cares. The reason I'm Kelp. I'm from Bay Area Kei. Up6 made me do this panel because I have literally written multiple peer-reviewed published papers on alternative fashion magazines, including Kara. So she's like, well, you have to do the panel. And I'm like, okay. We lost Perla.
Oh, God.
Okay, well, I'll keep going and we'll see if she comes back. But yeah, that's my background. I wanted to be a magical girl, basically, and wear the clothes that were in the shoujo manga that I read. And when I was looking for like manga goods online, they're like, oh, you can get magazines by C-mail. And it was around right when GLB started publishing. I do have like the first Gothic and Lolita Bibles that I started getting. I started getting Kara and Gothic and Lolita Bibles. I don't remember when I started subscribing to Fruits, but I did subscribe to Fruits as well. So anyways, let's get to the snaps. So we're gonna start with fruit snaps first, and then we're gonna go to miscellaneous other snaps, and then we'll talk a little bit about the future of snaps. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. This is all right. Fruits.
Okay. So I just want to preface this by saying you can read literally issues 1 to 50 of Fruits online for free. If you go to archive.org and then search Fruits magazine, they're there, fully scanned, ready for you, for your viewing pleasure. Because I know how difficult it is to like find these things. Like if you don't live in Japan and they don't sell, obviously, like they don't sell like the 1997 copy of Fruits in your local bookshop. So yeah. So for me, because I'm doing like a study of Fruits, I kind of know a bit more about the background and like how it started. So I don't know if anyone wants a quick history lesson, but you're gonna get one anyway. So 1997.
That's the whole point of the panel. Is this?
Okay. So 1997, there's this guy, Shoichi, who's like going to Paris, he's in London, and he's standing outside fashion weeks, and he's like, oh my god, these Europeans, their style, it's amazing. I wish we had that in Japan. Because the people on the street, they're so much more interesting in fashion week. So he's already like taking snaps of people in Paris and London. And then he goes back to Harajuku, and then he's like, oh, maybe I should take pictures of people in my area, because his office was in Harajuku. He just happened to be there for whatever reason. So he just started taking pictures of people in the street, and that's kind of how Fruit started. I honestly feel like right place, right time, some dude it just happened. Like it was a magical combination of like things that just like happened. So now we have fruit. Yeah, and Harajuku at the time, like it wasn't just Japanese people, there was like a lot of foreign American influence. So that's why you start to see like the mix of like Western clothing and Japanese aesthetic kind of like mushed into one. And you get some like really great out there, amazing coordinates. Also at the time, like the economy was like pretty crap. So that's why like no one was buying things. They were kind of, that's where you get like the handmade, like we've got to make things, we want to look cute, but like we've got no money kind of deal. So that's why there's like a lot of handmade things going on at the time. So
plus a lot of like layering of like used clothes too, right? You know,
yeah,
like I got this at the Furugiya for
yeah,
for 500 yen.
literally, like you just take what you can get, just layer it on, and just an outfit. So that's like why you get all these crazy people just saying like, I went to the Furugiya and I bought something that like my grandma would wear, but now it's fashion. So that's like what fruits is basically.
And I think I was looking into the street and fruit, and like in street, which is the London and stuff, they had so much more luxury to them.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, fruits was like, yeah, it's people trying to cope with not having any money. So it's, yeah, it's like, here's this fuzzy thing on my head. And then here's some like get it. And then like, here's like this. And then, yeah. And nobody had like, I feel like the luxury fashion started showing up a little later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always been this culture of like mix and match in Japan, like luxury and casual brands. Like, I mean, right now you'll see people wearing like Uniqlo and Gucci just like as a vibe, like as a
Yeah.
whole aesthetic. And it's just like you don't really think about it like, oh, like why are they doing that? It's just like how it's kind of always been done, I suppose. So yeah, I like that people trying to cope with it like aesthetically. There's like the fruits vibe. So
By the way, let me know when you want me to advance slides.
okay, cool. So the first one I kind of picked because everyone always kind of asks like where, like everyone wants to know the origins, like where did this style start, where did that style start, and I kind of picked this snap as like the origins of Decora. I know that the people in it are fans of Tomoe Shinohara, and there's like a lot of crossover between the two styles. So there's like her like bunny ear thingies and her randoseru, the backpack is like really typical of Shinohara, and also like in the ima hamateru koto, like the thing that they're into right now, they both say Shinora, like they're both Shinoras, so that's kind of where it started.
They're also both TMR fans, which, you know, it's good taste.
It's like, I mean, you can't, like, they're 13, they're into things, you know?
Yeah.
We all go through phases. But yeah, like their entire chord, I've got my iPad. Their entire chord is super. So the first one is like super lovers and stuff. So it's all like
super lovers.
Yeah, like that brand, like it's making a comeback as well. Super lovers is like
yeah, I've noticed. Yeah,
like resurgence. So we might be seeing more of these like Shinohara chords again. So I think this is like a 97 image, and I feel like this is the beginning of Decora, if anyone wants to know. This is my take anyway. But there is an interview with Aoki where he did say like, oh, there's these two girls on the street and they were the beginning of Decora. So I kind of like just took his words and just put it on this image. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's what that is. So yeah, can we advance to the next slide, please?
Yes. Once I actually, there we go.
Sorry, okay. I'm so quiet. I'm literally like learning right now. You're telling me I don't know too much about
That's cool. You'll have your whole section of time to ramble on.
Oh my! I'm literally getting an education. Okay, so this one I picked because like I love that now we have like the rules in Lolita.
Yeah.
and this one does not have the rules. Like, she's wearing denim, like, it's amazing.
She
Like,
was on those slides and socks like long before we ever were.
yeah, it's just like that's just, I don't see why we shouldn't bring this back. Like, with, like, you know, the stuff thing. What is that? Is it Baby or AP who has that like really scary albino bunny thing?
Baby, yeah. For our pumpkin carving contest, we had I carved the special San Francisco version that's black with orange eyes, the Akuma Kumya, and a lot of people did Kumya, Usa Kumya themed pumpkin carving contest. So there's a lot of Kumya fans.
Yeah. So I'm sorry if I offended all the Kumya fans. But
No, we love Kumya because he looks like he's gonna, you know, possess your soul later.
yeah, it's really scary. Like, but I feel like this is a precursor to that. It's just like,
Yeah, but kind of scary.
yeah, like scary, but also like I'm gonna hold it and it's useless, but like aesthetic, you know? So
So the reason that I'm like doing this is because I'm trying to like read, and it's like it's Jane Marple, right, that she's wearing. Because I was gonna say this is very milk aesthetic, and as somebody that's into Otome Kei and also Lolita, I can't tell you how many times I've had like other Lolitas get very confused by like my milk or you know, Jane Marple or
That's where it started.
quotes. They're like, you're not wearing a petticoat, but it still looks good, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I've got like, yeah, when we get to my section, I've got like more proto Lolita and like early Lolita stuff, so you'll be able to like totally like nerd out on that. But yeah, and Jane Marple milk, you know, that's
I love Jane Marple so much. I can't afford it, but I love it.
yeah, like I can't read it obviously because it's orange. I don't know why they love to do these things where it's like we put a caption.
Yeah, that's why I was like this. I was like, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Jane Marple for like the first two pieces.
Okay.
yeah, if you see us like, that's because we're trying to read and look at like, sorry about that.
Perfect.
You can see my nose shot.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So yeah, Jane Marple, there we go. Breaking the rules with the denim. And then the other one I really liked because it's like next to Lolita and it just says fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
because we don't have a concept of English in 1997. Like, it's fine. You can just put that there. And like the best part is in the caption. It said, where is it? I read it. It's like my fashion point is like chotto punk, like a bit punk. So
yeah, chotto shita punk. Yeah, little like just a little bit punk.
Yeah, just a little, just this bit here.
Oh, the thing that they're into right now is people watching. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And they like hip hop music.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. The punk and the hip hop. But yeah, another socks and sandals thing that I'm enjoying sort of. Also tattoos, like, yeah.
Yeah, oh wow, I didn't even notice that, but yeah, that's
on display. Interesting. We lost Perla, but we're just gonna move on to the next.
We're just gonna move on. Tokyo Bopper, man. We had some conversations about Tokyo Bopper in the Natural K panel.
Sorry, I disappeared for 2 seconds. I was trying to full screen the thing. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Technical issues. Okay, so this one, I don't know, this one just amuses me as like a British person because like reading Fruits and seeing a lot of punk, like Union Jacks and stuff, and it coming under the label of like Japanese fashion is very amusing. It's like, why do you think, like,
yeah, what's the... So I was going through these like mid 2000 Karas, you know, where they'll say like, oh, like how to do like punk style like taste or betsuni, you know, like to your individual taste. And like when you do punk, they always have a punk they call like London punk, and it's like plaid bondage pants, a Union Jack, like a Sex Pistols t-shirt, and then like rips with safety pins, you know, and it's just so like distilled.
Yeah. It's just like this is this specific London punk where it totally did not originate from, but we have to categorize it in this way. So that's just like it's just truly amazing to me. This guy's also an edgelord. His favorite music is early punk, not just like now. Not the fact that he's
Yeah.
in like the
This
90s.
is me again trying to read. Yeah, show. Early punk.
Yeah. So, and he bought his Union Jack sweater on Takeshita Dori, which is like super amusing because like you go there now and it's just pure Wigo, like really cheap souvenir nonsense. But back then you could find like fruit stuff apparently. So oh yeah, and also his fashion point is kuso punker. It's like fucking punk, man.
Yeah, shit punk.
Fucking punk. Yeah. Yeah. So I really like this guy. I don't know what his name is. I can't read that kanji, but
He's still got his cigarette in his hand too. Like he's just waiting to finish.
yeah, he's fucking punk.
He's fucking punk.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. And also I just love belly buttons, so I had to include it, like Tokyo Bopper.
Yeah, no, I'm a big Tokyo Bopper fan. And I was browsing their site recently today because of the Natural K panel was talking about the Pink House collaboration, which I like totally missed, but then I realized I didn't miss it. It's just like not obvious that it's a Pink House collab. It just looks like when Tokyo Bopper does something a little bit different than normal. But yeah, I highly recommend Tokyo Bopper shoes. They are fantastic.
Okay.
And they'll give you some street cred.
Oh yeah.
Super lovers.
Super lovers. I just love that everything is like a little bit punk. It's like it can be super lovers, but it's got to be tartan plaid. And also the fact that they're matching, like both of these pictures are like matching couples, and like I noticed across fruits, I don't know if it was intentional, but Aoki tends to like match his pictures like next to each other, like so you'll have like matching couple and a matching couple and like weird hair and weird hair or something like that. I don't know if it's intentional or if I'm like reading too much into it, because like that's what happens when you read like 20 issues of fruits in like one go.
This sort of thing was literally what I did for like my dissertation. Was I would just keep track, and then I would have I'd have like a spreadsheet, you know, so
Yeah.
I could be like, all right, if somebody asks me like, are you sure? I can show them proof.
I have stats. I do not have stats, but it's just my own brain. Okay, so
and it seems, sorry to interject, but it seems like, I don't know if rocking horse shoes or that kind of platform shape that's kind of rocking horse-ish literally was only popular in Japan. Was it like, I know Vivienne Westwood had their, you know, started off with the rocking horse shoes, but like, did anybody else do it except for Japan? I feel like the only snap where I've seen people wear them out in the wild is Japan.
Yeah, I feel that as well, because like Vivienne Westwood like realized that she had a massive following in Japan, was like, I'm gonna do Japan exclusive stuff, like just, yeah, probably, I don't know, but
I also wonder too, because you know the rocking horse shoes, they have the curve, and then they have like the rocking horse like cutout, right?
Yeah.
But these ones don't have the cutout, and like the curve thing, it kind of is reminiscent of like a lot of like older traditional Japanese footwear, like what like Maiko wear and stuff.
That's true.
So I wonder if like this style of platform was like not really seen as like weird or anything. And I can tell, I mean, as somebody that's owned these types of shoes, they are actually easier to walk in than like straight up platforms. So
I don't know, I've almost eaten shit on some rocking horses.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I think it might be something where like it was kind of a fluke, but also I think it could have caught on anywhere else, really.
Yeah. I mean, these shoes are super lovers, so that's interesting. I didn't even know they did shoes actually. So
yeah, I didn't either, but I'm not surprised because like brands would randomly do shoes.
Yeah, and they like fall apart 5 seconds later. But
yes.
But
so we're gonna get Tokyo Boppers.
Yeah, they're super expensive, but they're so worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rest of the outfit is milk, and like milk. I didn't realize that milk was like super punk, like right at the beginning. I was like,
well, like Milk Boy is super punk, and like I think people don't really know about Milk Boy.
Yeah, Milk Boy. Yeah. But
Yeah.
milk, like because every time I walk past, I'm like, oh, so cute, so like girly. But like at the beginning, it's like you just see these like punks, like it's milk, it's like pure milk, so which is really interesting. And then this other beautiful couple, like this guy's got a safety pin like through his face.
Yeah.
That's my like personal fashion point, which is apparently, I don't know if it's Vivian Westwood or he made it himself. It's like listed in the caption, so I'm not sure. But yeah, there's lots. Oh, he's also 17, so like the 17-year-olds out here just styling it better than all of us.
I always get depressed. I mentioned this to you in an earlier meeting we had, but I'd always sort of be. I have to remember that the people that listed their ages were always the people that were really young, like a lot of times teenagers, and then there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't list their ages, and I'm just like, that's me, you know, like those are the 30-year-olds.
I feel like, but that's still kind of the case because I try to take some street snaps, and it's always like the young ones who are like, oh my god, like someone's noticed me, I'm gonna give them all that my information because I'm young and I'm gonna give my information to a stranger.
Please don't.
Just, like, I'm 16, I'm in high school, like I love it, like and it's always like the real, like the, I say older, it's like 20.
Yeah, the non-teenagers.
Yeah, the non-teenagers.
The people that have maybe real jobs.
Yeah, they like give you their, I don't know, they just give you their first name, not even their last name. They don't give you their age, they don't give you anything, they're wearing, they just walk off.
So they're Shokai-jin, that's it, you know?
So that's probably why like you see a lot of younger people in fruits, because they're actually willing to stop and like, you know, share their creativity, whereas other people will be like, oh my god, like leave me alone, I'm just trying to live my life, I don't know what this is, because like this is the first, you know, like no one was taking snaps before, so no one knew what it was. So if someone came up to you on the street like, I want to take a picture of you, especially in a country where it's like super weird and illegal to like take snaps with people, like you have to ask them permission and stuff. So there's like a lot of culture in there where it's just, it's not the done thing. So that's probably why younger people are like, yeah, I'm fashionable and cool. So yeah. Let's go to the next slide. This one I picked just because they were wearing the same crazy pants. Like that was the point here. But like just because like I don't know, like he must have just been like, oh, these pants are like matching, like let's put them next to each other. And yeah, you've got like the I really like the layered styles. Like you've got the t-shirt with the cami and the skirt with the trousers and the belt, and like there's a lot happening. Like I think that's really typical of Japanese street fashion, is like layering is such a massive point. Like I don't tend to layer. I didn't layer until I started working at 6%. Like that's all they did, is just like put things on top of things. So it's kind of like a fashion skill that I picked up in Japan specifically, and you kind of see a lot of it in fruits. So yeah, I really enjoyed their trousers. Also their fashion point, the first one is got to start. It's like cheek, and it's just like a bunch of star emojis, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just like people were having a lot of fun. Their camisole is from Swimmer and from a Gyaru shop in 1999.
Swimmer, man.
Yeah, it's
I have so much Swimmer. I have so much. When I lived in Japan, I would go to the nearest Swimmer store and just buy like, you know, like a suitcase full of Swimmer every time.
Do you know if they're back to the same, like their standalone shops as before? Because I heard they're reopening.
Right now they're doing a pop-up in Osaka and Ura-Harajuku. I'm not sure about the standalone. I know definitely they're online.
Yeah, I just remember them coming back online.
Yeah, so I don't think they have a physical shop yet.
Because when I went, yeah, I bought like all of their purses. It was Halloween time. So I bought all of the purses, and now I treasure them, but I know they're going to fall apart in like a year.
Actually, I have a pouch of theirs that I've used as like a small makeup pouch for, this was probably, I bought this in like 2008, and it's perfectly fine. So wow. I think it depends. I do have it was a DS, I was going to say 3DS, no, it was a DS case. And the screen print has kind of rubbed off, but that would happen anyways if you have it in your bag. So Some stuff from Swimmer, yeah, like the luggage and everything. It's like, but I think a lot of their pouches are actually surprisingly durable.
My pleather angelic pretty bag has fallen apart completely, and I have a little swimmer wallet that's like peeling a little bit. And I'm like, oh no, it's going the way of angelic pretty. Angelic to the audience, angelic pretty bags are a horrible investment. Don't buy them. They will not last.
This is late night. This is late night content. We're getting the hot takes. That's not really a hot take in our community. Okay, I guess we're next.
Yeah, this one. Because
she's a baby.
Like, she's wearing a denim skirt. Like it's totally just, who is she? Why is she doing this? Where are her frills?
I gotta really say though, her top is actually pretty cool. Like that's actually a really cool top.
That's a cool top. Sorry, just referencing like a YouTube video from 2009. Yeah, no, I love this. She's like 17 and just not a Lolita yet. She's like Bobby face, so I thought that was really cute.
I like that her fashion point is like 80s style question mark. Like she's like, I don't know.
No. But if we go to the next slide, which is even more interesting, we have like a little break.
Yes.
Okay.
I really want to talk about this, and this is like I think a good thing to end on for this part, because when I was making this PowerPoint and I got to this slide, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna read this. And
please read it for me. I'm the only person here who can't read Japanese, so that's the reason why I'm so silent. I'm trying to soak in everything you guys are saying.
So yeah, and I think people will be really, really interested in this. I think I have like a laser. Can you guys see like a laser pointer? Yeah. Okay, so Aoki Misako, 17. This was the first thing I was just like, oh wow, I did not know. So I know all about Misako Aoki being like a nurse, right? I did not know that she went to a vocational nurse high school. I thought it was something that like happened later in her life. And then like here she is over here with her nursing classmates. And I just didn't, I knew the whole nurse thing, but I didn't realize it was that early in her life. So that was like really interesting thing for me, number one. And then favorite brands, Candy Stripper, yes. I love Candy Stripper. And then Keely Watch. What was some of the other things? Oh, I did remember that she's a huge Judy and Mary fan. Because I would pay attention to what bands people would list on fruits as their favorite bands, or like in Kara, and a lot of times I wouldn't recognize them because they were like very specific Visual Kei bands. And I remember seeing her put Jam, and I was just like, I know Judy and Mary. So it was like the first band that I saw somebody list that that I was into. And you can see she mentions Judy and Mary here. She mentions Judy and Mary here. And then she mentions Judy and Mary here for favorite CDs. So yeah, there's like a bunch of other stuff too, but it's really interesting because this whole long profile was back when she was 17. So I don't remember really reading much of the back of fruits. I remember looking at the cell phone photos that reader submissions. But I don't really remember these profiles that much. So I think they were fairly rare. Choom, can you?
Yeah. Like they weren't like super rare. Like I think in the earlier ones when they made an effort to like connect with the community a lot more, there's a lot more of them. Just like people that he, I guess, bumped into a lot, and then we want to find out more about them because it does so much for their like social status hierarchy and stuff. If like Fruits thinks you're cool, then everyone else thinks you're cool. So there's like a lot of these of people like you wouldn't think about being super, I don't know, famous now, but just happened to get this one of Misako Aoki, so I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and I just noticed too this part where it says like a good thing that's happened recently, and she says being in Fruits basically. Yeah.
A lot of them write that, like that's their like highlight, and it's like I've been recognized as a cool person. Like I think it's the same as now. It's like if you get stopped and someone else take a picture of you, it's like wow, I'm really cool.
Okay, so let's see. Oh yeah, we have.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
we should. Yeah, I was gonna say we should. I mean, I'm gonna still show this one real quick because of it's Halloween. And then we've got some costumes. But this was at an event, right?
Yeah, this is an event.
Yeah, so I remember them going to events. People in the chat, it's like dog man. But yeah, we'll just go through the rest of these really. Let's see. Yeah, event. This is also event ones. Takuya Angel, right? Was this?
Yeah, they're Takuya Angel. They're Angelas.
Yeah, when I started in getting into J fashion, Takuya Angel was really big, and it took me a while to figure out. Even though I had a very brief like cyber rave period in middle school and early high school, I suddenly realized that actually I didn't like that style at all. So I don't have any of my old Takuya Angel, but that was some of the first J fashion actually I bought second hand. I treasure it. Yeah, there's the cyber extreme
Oh
cyber
my
stuff.
god.
Mhm.
Did she make those? Does it say it in the notes if she made those, or did she?
Let's see, accessory.
Swear and Cyberdog.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, we're like, oh, Cyberdog? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so more fun stuff.
Or her hair.
And then Doraemon.
Yeah.
Alright. Oh yeah, and here's the rules, right?
The rules.
For Dekora and for Lolita.
Also, Dekora new. That's what I thought was really interesting.
New. And what's really funny is that in like the English language communities, a lot of times they would make these kinds of bulleted point lists, and they wouldn't actually correspond very well to the corresponding lists that were like in Kara or Gothic and Lolita Bible.
No.
I got really obsessed with these lists when I was doing like my master's thesis on like Mori Girl. I found one that had been translated from a Mixie post onto the Mori Girl live journal community, and I was just like, oh, these lists are like ripe for for research potential. So I actually like collect things like that. So I was really excited to see these. All right, so the Wikipedia. Do we know who this is? I didn't actually like. Oh,
I did some research.
Thank you. So now we're starting.
Okay, so one, speaking of cyber, like look at that, like
Oh yeah.
This
So cool.
I found out was taken at what is it, Yoyogi Park? Is that what it's
Oh
called?
yeah.
The park where everybody went, where it was cool. You were a cool kid and you went to go get checked out. Well, one of the places. And it was from a Filipino photographer who went, took a picture of her, apparently asked her jack shit. Nobody knows who she is. And now it's the header for the Wikipedia. Oh my God. This is the picture I saw when this was the first one that like I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do with my life. This is it. This is it.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, oh, I know that picture, but why do I know that? And then when I went to try to find the higher resolution of it, it took me to Wikipedia. I'm just like, oh, and like Japanese Wikipedia actually is like pretty bereft of pictures. So I'm like so used to not seeing any pictures even on like fashion articles. So this is really notable, and actually I'm very glad that this is the English language Wikipedia picture for Gothic Lolita. Like this is like if I had to show something to outsiders, it's like, yeah, this is good. Like, like
It's 2007. I'm going to point that out. I don't know what she's wearing. I don't think she made it herself. I think it's definitely from a brand, and also her socks are definitely from a brand. And her shoes look. I mean, everybody was wearing those shoes back then, so I can't even like narrow down a brand.
So if I had to just throw out a guess, this belt I have seen on Meta, and it also buttons down the front, which is also kind of a Meta thing. But I would not be surprised if it's not Meta.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because this also looks very like Miho Matsuda to me, but but
True.
there's, yeah, like the overall aesthetic, but not the details.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this lovely, because earlier I was I was thinking to myself like, oh, do people not know that like Cyber and Lolita were happening at like the same time on the same page?
Also, look at that leg guard. I don't know why the cyber's like another like, because quite recently like 2000s fashion started coming back. Baby fat had a whole new thing. Everybody's coming out with a whole revival, and like 2000s cyber like stuff was also like getting their own mood boards and stuff. And it's just like it's like another weird fascination of mine. And that, what was the game? Space Channel 5?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Yes, I'm obsessed with the aesthetics of that game. But anyway, this is about Lolita.
Well, actually, I'm curious, Choom, what is the status of like cyber type fashion in Japan? Did it also have a revival?
No.
No.
No. Right now everyone's just super normal. Like,
Yeah, that's what when I went to Japan about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to Harajuku and Takeshita Dori, and like everybody was so normal. Everybody had plushy pants and like plushy slip like shoes, and like everybody would look like they were dressed out of Uniqlo, and like
yeah.
they were nice amongst themselves, but that was about it.
That was the case even when I was living in Japan in like the late like 2008 2009ish. And I kind of wasn't surprised because I had been to other like spots in the US that are known as like fashion spots, and I knew that there wasn't really like, there's like 10 people maybe wearing fashion and then there's like 4,000 not.
Yeah.
So that was that's why I knew that Gap building that we were talking about. I was like, oh, like, I remember that Gap building in Harajuku that they used to take fruit snaps out of.
Well, a little bit of background. So, Choom obviously did fruits. Kara started out as Kerouac magazine.
Right, yeah.
In 1998? 1998, I want to say. I had a little note.
That sounds about right. I was like going to say 97 or 98. That is listed in my dissertation because I have a whole chapter on Kerouac.
Yeah.
So I should.
And so it was called Kerouac after the author. And then everybody was like, that's too hard to say. And so the guy just shortened it to Kara, which I totally didn't know until like doing some research recently. And then 3 years after Kara started, the GLB spun off. There was other Kara spin-offs like Kara Maniacs and stuff like that, and like Kara specifically for boys. But the GLB spun off, started off with Mana was a big influence in the
Mana, Kana.
Yeah. Which that's why they're in all the early magazines, and even like obviously the later ones. That's why they're always on there.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And then, I was reading up on, because you have that shot later with Mana and Miharu Mitsukazu. So I was reading up on like Miharu Mitsukazu, very illustrated all of the early covers and was like a big influence on the early aesthetic. Yeah, that's some of our early Kara history.
And Lolita itself started off with kind of like Milk and Jane Marple back in the 70s and 80s. It wasn't called Lolita yet, but it was like the shape was kind of there, as you'll see later on in the. That's why I have this.
I'm trying to think who was it? Somebody earlier at a panel had a snap like it was like the first. They think it's like the first time somebody actually called themselves a Lolita in a street snap.
Well, from what I understand, the first time anybody used the word Lolita in a magazine was 1994.
Yeah,
that's what I found out. Yeah, and it was like some women's magazine. I don't know what it was called, but it wasn't until later, a couple years later, that everybody started like meshing it together and kind of getting a shape to it. Which is why you see this particular picture. I think this was the first like Lolita like thing I could find in Kara. I think it was still called Kerouac.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's why we have these guys.
This tracks for pretty early.
Yeah.
people are like, oh, you're so smart, you know the years. I don't have that type of brain. I have like a cheat sheet that I use. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good snaps here.
Yeah, like the left, well, it's my, I guess, left. You can kind of see that starting out. Does it have a caption? I think it might be.
No
Yeah.
caption.
But you can definitely see the fullness of the dress, the fullness. It reminds me of
this sort of waistline that Milk does all the time, and it's so unflattering, and I have to just put a ribbon around it.
Have you ever wanted your boobs to look long and all the way down here?
Well, I don't have much in that department, so that's not my concern. But it's just it's funny to see people complain about like sack dresses when I'm just like, oh, you don't know true pain until you have a dress with this like tiny little elastic gathering in this awkward spot. And Milk always makes things for people with really wide shoulders. If they have straps, the shoulders are always like falling off of me. And I am like a very small person. That should, I think, be close to their fit model, but I don't know. Their fit model maybe swims professionally or something.
Well, yeah. It's funny because the problem I usually have is really narrow shoulders, but yeah, I don't know if you can.
But look into Milk. Look into Milk JSK's.
Yeah.
For wide shoulders.
I don't know if you can look at the. You're the one that reads Japanese, so I'm relying on you. Right. Where did the
caption?
skirts come from?
Where do their skirts come from? So one of them's kind of cut off. I think this one is pretty, because I think this is scato, and it says pretty. This one, let's see. Okay, scato. La Foray, no. Booty di day.
Okay, well, we'll concentrate on the pretty. For everybody,
something that they got from La Foray. Yeah.
For everybody who doesn't know, Angelic Pretty used to be called Pretty. It's actually an older company that most people think. And that's where that comes from. And a lot of the super early stuff was based on kind of like, not only Rococo, but like Americana, like prairie dresses and what's their name?
Gunny sacks?
Gunny sacks. Yeah.
So we're talking about gunny sacks in the Natural Kei panel.
Yeah. Gunny sacks is something to look up. And you'll kind of like, it's very, obviously we've come real far now, but like back then, if you put old school Lolita, old school Lolita, like what some people like to call proto Lolita, and like Gunny sacks dresses and like super old Milk and super old Jane Marple, it's all right in there. You could kind of see the evolution going. And as you can see, she's wearing the rocking horseshoe, so it's already coming together. And I do think that's the Fruits. That's from Fruits, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, Choom, and maybe you can clear up this rumor for me, but Aoki didn't like Lolita, right?
I've heard this. And I've only heard it from Lolitas. So.
Okay. Okay, because that's a lot of. That's always been kind of the rumor, is that the original photographer of Fruits, or the photographer of Fruits, didn't like Lolita fashion, and so he'd only take pictures of kind of like the more outlandish,
right,
kind of stuff. And if you look at the Fruits books, some of it really is truly Lolita, like which you'd still wear today, and some of it is like you'll see a later picture, the one where she has like a police shirt on. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah, that's from the Fruits book, and it gives me like strong bodyline Lolita vibes. But like it's like, why'd you choose this one? I mean,
I think because the guy himself, he never was like a fashion person. He's just taking pictures of fashion, like, and he considered himself an outsider to like street fashion, right? So he doesn't know about like Milk and Gunny Sacks and Angelic Pretty and all that. So for him, it's just like, oh, fluff, present. Here you go. So what that is.
And we're gonna get. I mean, we have other slides here, but I do really want to point out about this, and a lot of the other slides you have is, you know, we were in talking about in other panels, both in this event and our previous event, we've talking about like old school and like old school revival, and one thing that's always been very interesting to me. So I'm into a style that's called Taisho Roman, which is like, it literally is like Taisho romance, and it's this very romanticized, like nostalgia, ahistoricized take on like Taisho era schoolgirls, right? So if you look at actual pictures of Taisho era schoolgirls, no, like it doesn't look anything like that. If you read the Fushigi Yugi like Genbu Kaiden manga, the protagonist is like a Taisho era, supposed to be like a Taisho era schoolgirl, so that kind of dress. So I've been seeing with like old school the same thing, where like people have invented this like prototype of like what old school is, and it's like this one dress and like this very like specific look. When like meanwhile I'm like, wait a second, but like this is what old school was. Like,
Get your
I was
cowboy
like,
hat. That's what it is.
I was like, it's like if you look at like even like early like Gothic Lolita Bibles, it's like, yeah, you can maybe find like what has become like representative of old school, but there's also all this other stuff. And when I was looking at Gothic and Lolita Bible extra, oh man, there was some outfits in that I was like, oh right, this is what it actually looked like.
I
So
think
yeah.
people just watch Kamikaze Girls one time and they're just like, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's old school, right? Well, and it's like, it's fine if you're specifying like, oh, by old school I mean like this particular period in like 2004, 2005. But I've definitely seen people on the internet be like, oh yeah, this is how they dressed in like the late 90s, and I'm like, do you have photos to back that up? Because I sure haven't ever seen them.
And I kind of screwed up when choosing my slides, that I kind of went from like the real rough Lolita to like
yeah, these ones. This is okay. So for me, the Lolita style that always has been like my main thing is like classic. I got really into early Victorian maiden, and like this is what I really remember is like this kind of coordinate, like this kind of. I have an early skirt from Victorian maiden that's, I swear to God, made out of outdoor upholstery fabric. It's like coated in plastic. It's waterproof. It's like waterproof, like Gobelin, like. But yeah, like that. This kind of couch, this like eyelet lace, and these kinds of blouses that just did not fit anybody.
No.
No, yeah, but like this is what I remember, and like a lot of people are doing more like this, which is like, you know, it's valid, but like it's just been interesting for me as like somebody that's done research on fashion to see like the Western nostalgia of old school Lolita and like what kind of choices people are making in terms of like you know, remembering it.
And it's so, I feel like today it's so, how do I say, cleaned up, sterilized. It's not gritty like it used to be, because we've distilled it. You know, have you ever heard of the term Flanderization?
Yeah.
Yeah, where eventually people like certain character traits of like Ned Flanders, and it just becomes more and more and more cartoonish. And I feel like we're kind of at that point. And like this, I don't think she really like thought it that hard. I think that's the problem, is that we obsess and we obsess and we obsess over all these little points. And she just got up in the morning and she was like, this is what I'm gonna wear.
So somebody in the chat said, I always wondered why the pictures tended to have blouses that didn't quite fit, but I guess it's because no blouse properly fit. I mean, that's still a problem, but I think people have gotten better at hiding it, and there's more choices.
One of the problems is back in the days, you know, it's like you took what you can get. It's kind of like the early Lolita days here. When we couldn't buy from overseas, you have to go.
I had a Malcolm Modes square dancing petticoat. It's actually pretty good. Like I still have it. I still use it.
And then you read tutorials on EGL on how to make it cupcake shaped.
Like no, because I was classic, and it's all about the A line, and that's why I always got mad about the rules, because they're always like, you must become a cupcake, and like right about that time in like that era, Victorian Maiden kept on putting out mermaid skirts.
Oh, that's true.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like if I wore this to a meetup, people would think I was like, they wouldn't even know it was brand. Like,
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's see.
yeah, this is polished.
Yeah, so like, what's going on there?
I love this. There's so much weird leg wear in early Gothic Lolita Bible and like Kara. Like, you don't have to go that far back. I'm talking like 2005. There's a lot of choices being made. But I love this look. This is so great.
I definitely see what Choom was saying about how if you were just like a dude walking down the street.
Yeah, Takia Angel. Yeah, this is like the first thing I tried to be. And then this look.
Like I'm trying to that bunny purse. I used to do live streams of GLBs where I would talk to people and we'd like read through a GLB. That bunny purse was made by so many people and sold in so many styles. I think H. Naoto had one. I think Putumayo had one. And it was the same kind of like dangly, like scruffy punk bunny purse. And so I also wanted to get that in there because it's like iconic to me.
There's an accessories brand, I think that's called Flapper, that a lot of I know alternative brands will use for bags. And I wonder if this is like a Flapper bag.
That's what we were wondering in the live stream too, as if like if somebody just made these and then they would like, you know, private label them or whatever.
Yeah, because I have bags made by Flapper that like I bought from like Listen Flavor, or I bought from like Candy Stripper, or I bought from like an Ultimate brand, or like even like Olive de Olive or whatever. So I always wonder about that.
Yeah, so that's the yes. And then yeah, like I don't know. I just thought this was super interesting. Almost from fruits. And then these guys.
This is so like Moribayashi Miho, like Shibuya Kei, 90s Shibuya Kei aesthetic. This is me like wanting to be oh man, I'm blanking out. I'm so bad with names. I have to like open up my Winamp.
But yeah, no, I totally would have seen that picture. Like, oh my god, I want this. And it's just I don't know, it's just
Koshihari, that's the name I'm looking for. Sorry, I'm just dropping obscure music names. I love how they like zeroed in like on the milk bag, like
on the milk tote, like. But yeah, and then like this one over here that I also believe is from the Fruits book. I'm trying to read it, but like I cannot.
Yeah, Emily Temple. Yeah. For the shirt, and then the skirt is Jane Marple again.
Yeah, like.
I can't read what this says, but then it's milk.
Yeah.
I can't read that. Anyways.
From what I understand, don't necessarily, especially Jane Marple, or is it Emily Temple Cute? I think Emily Temple Cute doesn't like being called Lolita.
I've heard that. But you know.
Yeah. It's in my download somewhere. I don't know if anybody particularly wants it, you can go to JFashion Archives, DM me and I'll send you the blog post. But it was like, yeah, it was like the designer, like, we don't want to be called Lolita because that name is controversial and we just make girly clothes.
Alright, so we're going to move on to the COMM now while we have time. So these were old, we have old ones. Let me click. Oh, it's because I have laser on. Alright, so yeah, this is more I think what people are thinking of old school, yes. By the way.
Definitely.
And this is also a Wikipedia picture for like EGA, yes. I think. Yes, and then I'm gonna go through these really fast, but I think these are great because they show sort of how the Kara street snaps got more and more polished. There's the illustrator Miharu Mitsukazu with her drawing, and then Mana just hanging out as he does.
I was trying to find a casual street snap of him, and it was like that was it.
Yeah. But I did want to just very briefly touch on this photo because I remember this Kara. I think it's a Kara. It might be a Gothic Lolita. Is it Gothic Lolita?
For both. I think that's definitely from a GLB.
Okay. I remember seeing this, and I had this realization that, oh, I shouldn't compare myself to anybody in the street snaps because clearly this is not like random person. You know, it's Kokushoku Sumire. And that was kind of like,
yeah.
it was like such a relief to me to know that like, wait, this is definitely staged. So like, obviously, like now I can't trust any. This is like, I was like, all right, I can't trust any of these. Because
Okay,
Choom was
for sure.
talking about that, yeah.
I want to point out their shoes because they're amazing. The white ones. There you go. Okay, that's.
Oh yeah, the squared off. They're so great. All right, the COMM, the future. And I'll just go through these. Now you have like Tokyo fashion, so things. But yeah. All right, Choom, tell us what is the COMM?
I'll tell you like super briefly. Basically, the COMM is my online magazine, and it's a platform for like people who are interested in J fashion or who like want to do photo shoots and like showcase their creativity. So I like to take people who you normally see on the street and put them in like a cool photo shoot location. So in the middle we have Yuka, who you probably know from 6%, who's like graduated now, but I thought it'd just be really nice to like showcase her in like a different way, like like mermaid way, because she's always
without those bangs and the makeup that she used to have. Yeah, different look for sure.
Yeah,
I totally didn't recognize her.
Yeah, she's got her totally different aesthetic. And then we've got on my right, we've got Ebony in the Sanrio Puroland, not Sanrio Puroland, in the Sanrio room, like the little Twin Stars room. That was just super cute to shoot in. And then Sakuran, who you've probably seen in Street Snaps as well, who made her own clothes. She goes to Bantan and she made her own like the headpiece and like her entire outfit. So if you want to see people in like a different light, basically, like just come to the COMM, we can show you. Let's go to the next one. And then on my left we have Fem, and they were like honestly like the best people. Like they were so cute. I didn't realize we had to keep them at the same height, and because I styled this shoot and I gave them different size, like the heel size, so that's why she's standing on the ledge because they have to be the same height. But yeah, they were super lovely to work with. They were just like so tiny and cute. And in the middle we have Black Diamond, who are honestly the best people. Like they're just so rowdy. Like
I love Black Diamond so much. I've done a lot of work on like gals and like egg, like early egg, and
I was obsessed with Pada Pada for like a good amount of time. So I don't know, I just love the how disinterested they look, but also like still hitting it. Like
seriously,
cookies and cream is, I think, also has a para para history, right? I see.
And then because just trying to round these 4 girls up and trying to get them somewhere was just a mission in itself. Like, come on, girls, let's go! And then you have Ao-chan, who's the blonde one on the end, like doing the peace sign. She's like their leader. She's like, "Come on, we're at photo shoot," and they're like all in their phones, like whatever. Like it was just so interesting. Like it was hilarious. And then we have Kure-chan on the that one. And she styled herself for this shoot. I asked her to come in like Heisei Decora because our theme was revival, so I wanted to show like an older Decora style. She came to the 10s, like makeup. She explained to me like in the 90s they only did them eyelashes this way, and that's why I got my hair like this. Like she's very knowledgeable about like the style, and she's just the best, and she's such a dream to work with. So like
one thing that came up, I remember we were talking about older magazines, is like I remember Perla was saying how like the makeup looks were all exactly the same and like really bland looking, and I was thinking to myself like, well, that's because that was like the products that were available back then.
True.
Like I think people like younger people now really just don't know. Like when I was young, like bronzer had just happened, and like only like right when I graduated high school. Like that was like the level, and everybody got the same like Bobby Brown. Pigment wasn't invented until 2016. No, it's just people are talking a lot about like the muted makeup looks of like yesteryear, and I think they don't necessarily realize that like what necessarily people were having to work with. So like I really this like really like maybe there's a hint of eyeshadow here. I'm like, because that's what you could achieve.
Yeah. I mean, even now, because I swear to God, I filmed it like 6 times. I tried to do a video for my YouTube channel where I do Misako Aoki's princess look. And it's like, because it's really bad. I'm not going to lie. She has some good tutorials, but that's a really bad one. But like this strong pigment, I feel definitely came from our recent, not recent, but like in the last decade, our obsession with drag and drag makeup and stage makeup and bringing that into casual makeup. Well, not even casual makeup, just like with the explosion of internet beauty gurus and like makeup tutorials and YouTube. And so I feel like for us, pigment. Like if it doesn't immediately leave an opaque streak on your hand, you don't want it. Like, but in Japan and in Korea and in like a lot of Asian countries, it's all about like looking natural and fresh and sheer and washes of color. And I feel like even back then it was like, you know, what you had to work with. And even now it's still like, even in like a lot of street fashion, it's like, you know, some washes of color, but it's not really.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned Gonguro, but Gonguro makeup was using a very specific set of products. Like, there's not going to be, like, you know, like really strong, like, red eyeshadow or, like, you know.
It was white and then tanner. And
it was not blended well. Like, that's the thing. If you have close-up of, like, actual Gonguro makeup, like, you would get ripped to shreds by beauty gurus nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, you were using a Coastal Scents palette back in the day, and if you remember that, and the no payoff there was to that, just think of that.
All right, so I think we're told we could go as much overtime as this, but I think we have time for a little bit, a couple of really quick questions, maybe. So if you have any sort of questions, or if Sixui has kept track of any. I've been trying to look at the chat a little bit, but my brain is completely fried.
I don't even think I can look at the chat with my phone.
Someone wanted to ask if you can read my papers somewhere. So I actually don't like to give randos my papers because one, sometimes they have personal information in them, and two, sometimes people like to argue with me about them, and they don't have a PhD, and I just don't have time for that. So if you're my friend, I gave Lily of Paradise Rose Shop. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, Toki can have whatever you want, including $5, because that's usually what you want. But yeah, I am happy though to recommend sources that I've used, that I've cited in my papers. So yeah, if you have any requests for that, I can do that. The private chat was like, wrap it up. You get that $5. Any other questions? You guys should really check out the COMM, because they just put out a new issue that's space themed, and it is so cool. Like, every issue is cool, but the space themed issue, I was like, oh, I'm so sad I don't have time to like read all of this immediately.
Space is like my favorite, and I think it came out on my birthday, so I was very excited.
Yay! Yeah.
I was 29 on the 29th. What date did you release it? I'm so sorry.
What date? I don't know. It was.
I noticed it on my birthday. It must have been the stars aligning.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. The cosmic issue is super fun. It's all like space themed. So the first part is Earth sucks. So it's like we want to get off the Earth because it sucks. Second part is Good Heavens, which has just been released now. And the third part is the Converse. So it's like our little universe. So yeah, please have a look.
Must have been the stars shining bright. All right, well, thank you everybody for this might be late for you, it might not. It's not late for Choom, I know that.
2 o'clock.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And yeah, we'll be showing trivia up next. Again, you can check out everybody's socials. Don't go to my social because I haven't used Instagram for like 4 years, so there's nothing there. But I highly recommend all of these, and please go read the Cosmic issue. It's really cool. And oh, you can chat with me in the Discord too if you have any questions. And yeah,
And
thank
if you
you
ever
so
have
much.
anything interesting you discovered, please DM me at J Fashion Archives. I get so many people sending me the weirdest shit there. I love it. Please, thank you.
All right, are we gonna do like the double wave bye?
Arigatou gozaimasu. Just make it real.